The silent exit. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council was louder than ever, filled with voices from hundreds of alien worlds, each one shouting over the other, some laughing, some sneering, their eyes all turned toward the single human at the center. Ambassador Daniel Reyes stood tall, his face calm, his suit plain, his hands folded behind his back. He looked like any other delegate, but the weight of humanity rested on his shoulders. Across the chamber, alien leaders mocked Earth with cruel words. "Humans are weak," one reptilian governor hissed, his scaled hands pounding the table. "Let them go. They are nothing but a failed species." Always so dramatic. Another, alien, tall and insectoid, clicked its mandibles together. "Their wars burned them out centuries ago. Now they beg for scraps. Let them crawl away into silence." The laughter grew, echoing against the high ceilings of the chamber. Some banged the tables, some jeered openly. Not one offered a voice of support for humanity. Daniel did not respond. He simply waited. He let their words wash over him like cold rain, his face unreadable. At last, the high speaker of the council, a tall, silver-skinned figure whose voice always carried authority, raised his hand for silence. "Then it is decided humanity's petition is denied. They are no longer welcome in council affairs. They may leave quietly and without resistance." The chamber erupted in more laughter. The decision was final. Humanity was dismissed, but instead of shouting, instead of begging, Daniel Reyes only bowed. A slow, deliberate movement. He looked at no one. His eyes never left the polished floor beneath his feet. He straightened, and without a single word he turned and walked out. The great doors of the chamber closed behind him with a heavy echo, and in that silence a strange chill settled over the room. Some aliens shifted uncomfortably. The laughter did not come as strong as before. One elder of a minor species whispered to his neighbor, "Too calm, too silent, why did he not fight?" Another delegate shrugged. "Because they are finished, there is no fight left in them." But his voice shook, and even he did not believe his own words. Far beyond the chamber, Daniel walked the long halls of the council station. Human aides followed him in silence, their faces pale but their eyes burning with something deeper, something they did not say aloud, as if silence itself had become their weapon. When they reached the human embassy, Daniel finally spoke, his words low. "We leave tonight. Every channel is to be cut. Every outpost is to be abandoned. We vanish from their maps." The aides nodded. None questioned him. They all felt the weight of what had just happened and the power of what was about to begin. Outside the station, human ships prepared for departure. They did not linger. They did not argue. One by one, vessels slipped into faster-than-light corridors, vanishing into the dark void of space. No transmissions were sent. No promises made. Only silence. Back in the council chamber, the debate continued. Some mocked humanity's exit. Others dismissed them as irrelevant. But not everyone was laughing. General Vaynar of the Drakari Alliance leaned back in his chair. His golden eyes narrowed. He was old. Older than most. And he remembered the ancient records of Earth. Records the council often ignored. They walked away, he muttered to himself. But not in defeat. "No. I have seen this before. Silence is never peace when it comes from humans." No one listened to him. The younger delegates were too busy celebrating. The council believed they had humiliated humanity one final time, yet beneath their arrogance, unease began to spread like a shadow creeping under a locked door. Across the galaxy, alien citizens, read the news, they laughed at first, mocking humans in taverns and marketplaces, calling them cowards, calling them broken. But after the laughter faded, an emptiness remained, an echo of silence, and with it came fear, because the humans had always been loud, always passionate, always quick to speak, to argue, to fight. But now they said nothing, and that silence felt heavier than any threat. On a distant colony world, an alien merchant leaned over his stall and whispered, "If humans have truly walked away, then where have they gone?" No answer came because no one knew. Back on Earth, deep in the mountains of old continents, hidden bunkers opened. Factories roared to life without sending signals into space. In the outer colonies, Vast shipyards lit up under cloaked fields. Unseen by alien eyes, humanity was not defeated. Humanity was preparing, but the Council did not know. They only remembered the silence. And in the quiet corners of the galaxy, the first rumors began to spread. Whispers carried by traders and smugglers. Do not trust the silence of Earth. The Council had made its choice. They had allowed humanity to walk away in silence, and in that silence, their greatest regret was already being written: the empty worlds. The Galactic Council thought the matter was finished. They thought humanity had been pushed aside forever. Yet weeks turned into months, and whispers began to reach them. Strange reports from border sectors where human colonies once thrived. An alien patrol ship arrived at Sigma 12, a human mining colony that had always been alive with trade. But when the patrol entered orbit, they found only silence. The station lights were dead. The landing docks were empty. Even the automated signals had gone dark. The captain of the patrol ordered a landing. His crew walked through empty halls. Tools were still in place, food left half-eaten on tables, clothes folded neatly on bunks, but not a single human remained. "It is like they vanished into thin air," one officer muttered, her hands trembling as she held a datapad that still played Earth music, a song left on repeat echoing through empty rooms. Other patrols found the same across human space. Colony after colony was empty, not destroyed, not abandoned in chaos, but left behind in perfect order, as if the humans had simply stood up one day, packed their secrets, and walked away together. The Council dismissed these first reports, claiming humans were fleeing in fear. "They cannot face our strength," said one delegate with laughter. "They have scattered like frightened children." But merchants told a different story. Traders who once made fortunes on human goods now found trade routes closed, space stations gone, and their profit chains broken. The silence was costing them more than they admitted. A nervous merchant from the Volari species stood before the Council. "Their colonies are not destroyed, they are hidden. I saw ships leaving the Nibrai corridor. Massive ships far larger than anything humanity ever showed before." The Council laughed at him, calling his story drunken nonsense, but his voice shook, his eyes wide. And even as they mocked him, more merchants brought the same warnings. Meanwhile, deep inside human territory, Earth's people were not scattered. They were united, in hidden systems. Fleets of ships gathered in silence. Engineers built titanic engines and weapons beyond counsel. Imagination. Factories produced war machines with a rhythm like a beating heart. Humanity had not fled in fear. They had retreated into the shadows, preparing for something greater. Back in the council chamber, tensions grew. One delegate finally asked the question none wished to speak. "If humans are leaving their colonies, where are they going?" No one had an answer. A younger species, the Rhinari, laughed. "Humans are primitive. They likely destroyed themselves while trying to move." Their arrogance won them applause. Yet in the back of the chamber, the old General Vaynar sat in silence, his golden eyes burning with memory. "They are not running," he whispered to himself. "They are gathering." But no one listened. On the edges of the galaxy, smugglers told darker tales. They spoke of human ships with no signals, ships that followed silently, then disappeared. One smuggler swore he saw a human dreadnought, vast and black, slip past his convoy without firing. "It just watched us," he said, his voice shaking. "It let us go, but its silence was worse than death." The smugglers were ignored, but fear spread among common people. Marketplaces buzzed with questions. Where did the humans go? Why did they leave their homes? What are they building out there? On the council worlds, leaders told their citizens not to worry, but they worried themselves. Behind closed doors, they studied ancient human history, the wars that humans had fought with themselves, the endless conflicts that had forged them. They read the old words. Humanity does not forgive twice. Some delegates laughed at the phrase, calling it empty bravado. But in the silence of their chambers they could not sleep. They could not forget the calm face of the human ambassador as he walked out without a word. On one distant moon, a council scout discovered something unusual. Hidden structures buried beneath the surface, cloaked with technology far beyond what humans had ever revealed. When the scout ship tried to transmit the discovery, the signal was cut. The crew vanished. Nothing remained but silence. Whispers grew louder. Rumors spread faster. The council began to argue. Some said humanity was no longer a threat. Others said they had underestimated Earth. But the truth was already clear to those who dared to see it. Humanity had not disappeared. Humanity was moving, reorganizing, preparing, and every empty world left behind was not a sign of weakness. It was a warning. The council laughed less now, their halls filled with uneasy silence, because even in their arrogance, they all felt the same question rise in their hearts. What happens when silence finally ends? The forgotten warning in the shining chambers of the council. The mood had shifted, no longer filled with loud laughter. Now the halls echoed with whispers. Rumors carried from one system to the next. The council had dismissed humanity, but now they faced a strange problem: silence. It followed them like a shadow. Across the galaxy, explorers and archivists began to dig through old records, searching for answers about humanity's past. One of them, a historian from the Yoran species, uncovered an ancient file in the restricted archives, a file marked with the seal of the First Contact era. He presented it to his superiors. The footage showed Earth centuries ago: human wars, burning cities, skies filled with fire, voices speaking in defiance even as their world tore itself apart, and beneath the images were words engraved in human code, translated for all to read. "We do not forgive twice." The phrase echoed through the council chamber like a ghost. Some laughed nervously, but their laughter was thin and hollow. General Vaynar, the old Drakari warrior, rose from his seat, his voice deep and steady. "This is not an empty phrase. I fought alongside humans long ago. I saw what they became when pushed to the edge. They fight with everything, and when silence comes, it means they are waiting, watching, planning." But the younger delegates waved his words aside. "Old stories," said one insectoid leader. "The humans are finished, their silence means nothing." Yet even as they mocked, reports continued to flow in. A scout near the Valari belt claimed to see human signals hidden inside a nebula, encrypted in ways no alien had ever seen. When the scout tried to approach, his ship vanished, leaving behind only a fragment of data. Merchants whispered of ghost fleets, massive structures drifting through the void, always cloaked, always just out of reach. One smuggler swore he had seen a ship the size of a moon moving silently between stars. The council called these tales lies, but fear crept into their meetings like smoke through cracks in the walls. Meanwhile, on the frontier, an outpost was abandoned overnight. The aliens stationed there returned to find messages scratched into steel walls in the old Terran tongue. The words, simple, terrifying: "We are still here." When this evidence was brought before the council, arguments erupted. Some demanded immediate action, others demanded silence and denial, but no one could agree. At last, the High Speaker spoke, her silver skin gleaming under the chamber lights. "We cannot chase ghosts. Humans have chosen to leave. We will not waste fleets on shadows." The chamber quieted, but unease remained. In the dark corners of the galaxy, human actions grew bolder. They hacked council signals, inserting fragments of ancient human songs into broadcasts, soft melodies that played across alien worlds without warning, songs filled with sorrow and fire, reminders of a people who had not vanished. Citizens of many species began to whisper, "Perhaps the council was wrong. Perhaps humans are not weak. Perhaps they are waiting." On Earth, deep beneath mountains and oceans, hidden councils of humanity spoke no words to outsiders. They remembered every insult, every slight, and every laugh from the council chamber. They did not shout or protest. They only built, stronger and stronger. The alien races who once traded freely with humans found themselves locked out. Their ships turned away at invisible borders, sometimes without even seeing the human fleet, sometimes with only one chilling message on their screens: "Do not cross." Fear spread. Some species began to regret how they had treated humanity, but regret came too late. Back in the council chamber, the historian who had uncovered the file returned. He brought more fragments, more warnings left by humans long ago. One message played on the great screen, the voice of a human general from a war centuries past. If we walk away, it is not because we are weak, it is because we are preparing. Remember this truth. Silence is not surrender. Silence is the last breath before the storm. The chamber fell silent. No one laughed, no one jeered. They only listened. General Vaynar's voice broke the silence, low and heavy with certainty. You fools, you have awakened something you do not understand. But again, the council dismissed him. They voted to continue as before, believing their numbers, their fleets, and their arrogance would protect them. They did not see that their greatest mistake had already been made. Humanity's silence was the warning, and the council had forgotten how dangerous silence could be. The first return years passed, and the council convinced itself that the humans were gone, their worlds empty, their voices silent, yet the silence never brought comfort. It only made the galaxy restless. Merchants still whispered of ghost ships, scouts still vanished near human borders. But the council dismissed each report, calling them accidents, lies, or tricks of the void. They told their people there was nothing to fear, but deep down, even, they did not believe it. Then came the first disappearance. A small fleet of council patrol ships entered the outer rim of human space. Their task was simple, to map and monitor abandoned colonies. They transmitted updates for 3 days and then the signals ended. No distress call, no explosion, only silence. When the council sent a second fleet to investigate, they found nothing. No wreckage, no debris, only the cold emptiness of space as if the ships had been swallowed whole. Whispers turned into panic. Citizens of many species demanded answers, but the council offered none. They only tightened their borders and sent more fleets. It was on the moon of Arlex 9 where the first true encounter happened. An alien mining crew was harvesting minerals when their scanners picked up something massive moving in the void. At first they thought it was an asteroid, but then lights flickered. Across its surface, long rows of running lights like those of a warship. The miners froze, staring through their viewports. The shape was vast, black as night, and silent. It glided past them without a single word, no hail, no warning, just the cold shadow of something alive and watching. One miner whispered, "That was no asteroid, that was human." When the report reached the council, panic erupted. Some leaders called it impossible. Others demanded proof. But the miners swore on their lives that they had seen it. Soon after, more sightings came. Ships traveling through deep space claimed to be followed by silent shadows. Black vessels that slipped past sensors and vanished before they could be recorded. One captain swore he had seen a fleet the size of a continent passing through the dark. "They did not fire," he said with trembling hands. "They only watched, and then they left. But I have never felt fear like that silence." The council argued endlessly. Some claimed these were human warships returning. Others said it was only imagination, but the fear was too real to ignore. General Vaynar spoke again, his voice heavy with warning. "They are not hiding anymore. They are testing us, measuring us, and when they return, it will not be in peace." But the younger delegates laughed at him once more. They claimed that, if humans had power, they would have shown it already. "If they had a fleet," one delegate sneered, "they would have attacked us, but all they do is hide." Yet even as he spoke, the chamber lights flickered. The great screens across the council hall froze, and for the first time in decades, a human signal broke the silence. It was not a face, nor a voice, only a simple line of text, written in the old Terran tongue. "We are watching." The chamber froze, the laughter died instantly. The signal vanished as quickly as it had come, and every delegate felt the same shiver crawl down their spine. From that moment, no one could deny it. Humanity was still out there, silent, patient, and now they had spoken, across the galaxy. Fear spread like wildfire. Ordinary citizens asked their leaders why the council had mocked humanity, why they had allowed them to leave in silence. Now every world feared that silence was about to break. Merchants stopped traveling through human sectors. Smugglers abandoned old routes. Even the bravest captains refused to cross into territories once claimed by Earth. But still, the sightings grew, always the same pattern. A black ship in the dark. No weapons fired, no words spoken, only the reminder that humans were near. The council tried to cover the truth, but they could not. The galaxy already knew humanity had returned. Not with fire, not with war, but with shadows and silence. And in many ways that was worse. For no one could fight an enemy they could not. See, no one could bargain with an enemy who would not speak. In private, the High Speaker asked her advisors a question she dared not ask in public. If they have returned, what do they want? No one answered, but General Vaynar already knew. His old voice whispered the truth he had spoken many times before. They want us to regret, and we already do. The first return of humanity had begun, and the galaxy trembled not because of war, but because of silence. The price of arrogance. The council could no longer deny what was happening. Reports of human shadows filled their archives. Patrols vanished. Merchants refused to travel. Entire trade routes collapsed. Yet the council's pride was stronger than their fear. We cannot allow humans to frighten us with tricks, declared one insectoid delegate, his mandibles clicking angrily. If they wish to play games in the dark, we will show them real strength. The chamber erupted in agreement. Arrogance drowning out the quiet voices of caution, fleets were ordered to the borders of human space. Massive warships carrying banners of the council. They would show the galaxy that the council was still the supreme power. General Vaynar, old and weary, tried one last time to stop them. You do not understand, he warned, his golden eyes burning. Humans do not reveal themselves until they are certain. If they allow you to see their ships, it is because they want you to, and you will not like what follows. But no one listened. Soon, 3 fleets entered the void, their orders clear: push past human borders, demand submission, remind humanity of their place. For 2 days, nothing happened. Silence filled the dark. The fleet sent reports of empty space, of abandoned beacons, of forgotten satellites. The council mocked General Vaynar, claiming humans were cowards, hiding once more. On the 3rd day, the fleets vanished, not destroyed, not damaged, simply gone. No signals, no wreckage, no survivors, as if they had never existed at all. The council panicked, but before they could form an explanation, a message appeared on their grand screens, not from the fleets, not from any known signal. It was a human message, clear and cold. Your time of mockery is over. The words burned into their minds, and then the signal ended. For the first time, the council chamber fell into silence. Not one delegate spoke, not one dared to laugh. Citizens across the galaxy saw the same message. Every screen, every transmission, interrupted by the same human warning. Entire worlds froze in fear, markets collapsed, leaders stammered in confusion. Still, some in the council clung to arrogance. It is only sabotage, one delegate spat. Humans hack our systems, nothing more. They cannot truly fight us. But then came the second wave of disappearances. Small fleets sent to investigate human space failed to return. Outposts near the old human colonies went dark. Ships traveling too close to their borders reported voices on their comms. Calm. Mechanical voices speaking in the human tongue. Turn back, your presence is not permitted. If ships ignored the warning, they were never seen again. Fear spread faster than the council could contain it. Their citizens began to question their leaders. Why did you mock them? Why did you force them to leave? Why did you not treat them as equals when you had the chance? The council had no answers. Meanwhile, across the stars, humans spoke again, not with diplomats or ambassadors, but with machines, messages carried by artificial voices, always the same, calm and final. We remember. On one council world, a governor tried to defy the warnings. He ordered his fleets to cross into human space. Within hours, his world lost all power. Every system shut down. Darkness covered the planet, no communication left when power finally returned 3 days later. Every orbital defense platform was gone, vanished without a trace. The galaxy trembled. The council met in secret, their chambers filled with fear and regret. Some demanded peace talks, others demanded war, but no one could agree. Every option led to the same truth. They had underestimated humanity, and worse, humanity was not even fighting at full strength. They were only warning, only reminding the galaxy of what had been done to them. General Vanar spoke once more, his voice low but steady. You thought silence meant surrender. You thought laughter meant victory. But silence was the beginning. And now you will pay. The price of arrogance. No one mocked him this time. No one laughed, for the council finally understood what they had unleashed. But it was already too late. Humanity had spoken, not with anger, not with war, but with silence, with shadows, with words that could not be ignored. And the council, for the first time in history, was afraid. The great reveal. The council was breaking apart. Fear ruled their halls now. No one trusted each other. Every delegate whispered of human shadows. Every world demanded protection, but no fleet could stand against what was coming. The first sign came above the trade hub of Zeros Prime, the largest marketplace in the galaxy. Ships from 100 species filled its skies, trade flowing like rivers of gold. Then the stars above the planet disappeared. At first, the citizens thought it was an eclipse. Then they looked closer. Their voices turned to screams. A shadow had fallen across their suns. Not natural, not cosmic, but forged. A wall of steel and fire stretching across the sky. It was a fleet, but not like any fleet the galaxy had ever seen. Colossal world ships the size of small moons. Dreadnoughts longer than cities. Carriers that released smaller ships like swarms of insects. Their hulls black, their lights glowing with cold precision. The silent armada had arrived. Every eye on Zeros Prime stared upward in terror. The council received thousands of desperate messages. Governors begged for defense. Merchants cried that trade was collapsing, but there was nothing anyone could do. The armada did not fire. It did not conquer. It only hovered above the skies, casting its shadow across the world below, a silent reminder of power beyond measure. In the council chamber, panic broke into shouting. Some demanded peace, some demanded war, but all of them knew one truth. Their fleets were useless, their weapons were weak, and their arrogance had doomed them. Then the armada spoke, not with voices, but with a single broadcast. Every world, every station, every ship in the galaxy received the same signal. A calm human voice, mechanical yet filled with purpose. You mocked us, you silenced us, you forced us to walk away, now you will listen. Images filled the screens, Earth rising above its blue oceans, its people united, then vast shipyards, hidden in deep space, factories larger than cities building war machines, the armada forming in secret. Shielded from alien eyes for decades, the message continued. We left because you gave us no choice. We returned because you gave us no respect. You thought our silence was defeat, but silence was our preparation. The chamber shook with fear. The delegates looked at each other. None dared to speak. On countless worlds, ordinary citizens wept. Some prayed, some cursed their leaders, for now they understood what the council had done. They had mocked the one species that could never be. Broken. Then the broadcast ended, leaving only silence. Above Zeros Prime, the armada remained vast and unmoving, a wall of shadow and steel. Its presence alone enough to paralyze a world of billions. Ships tried to flee, but human craft moved silently to block them. No shots fired, no violence, only a reminder that the galaxy no longer belonged to the council. Back in the chamber, the high speaker trembled, her silver skin pale. What do they want? She whispered. Why do they not strike? General Vanar rose slowly from his chair, his voice like a hammer. Because they are not here to destroy, they are here to remind you of your arrogance, and to show you what you created when you pushed them aside. Silence followed his words, heavy and suffocating. On Zeros Prime, people stared up at the armada, their suns blocked, their skies gone. One child clutched her mother's hand and asked, Mama, will they kill us? The mother could not answer. She only held her child close and prayed. For 3 days the armada remained, watching, unmoving, and then, as silently as it had come, it slipped back into the void, vanishing between the stars. The world breathed again, but fear did not fade, for the galaxy now knew the truth. Humanity could appear anywhere, anytime, with power that none could match. The great reveal had changed everything. The council no longer asked if humans would return. They asked, when? The regret. The The council chamber was silent, not with arrogance, not with laughter, but with fear. The great reveal had broken them. The image of the Armada hanging above Zyros Prime haunted every delegate. No one could forget the shadow that blotted out their sons. Messages flooded the chamber daily. Governors begged for protection. Merchants demanded safety for trade. Ordinary citizens demanded answers. They all asked the same question: what will humanity do now? The council tried to prepare fleets, but no commander wanted to lead them. No soldier wanted to face the Armada. Everyone remembered the disappearances, the warnings, the calm voice that spoke across the galaxy. We remember. At last, the high speaker called for an emergency gathering, her silver skin pale, her hands trembling. "We must act," she said, her voice breaking. "We must beg for peace before they decide to destroy us." Many delegates nodded, their pride finally crushed. Others sat frozen, unable to believe what they had once mocked was now their master. General Vaynar stood, his old frame shaking but his eyes still sharp. "You cannot undo the past," he said, his voice heavy with truth. "You mocked them, you drove them away. You thought their silence meant weakness, and now you face the price. But perhaps if you show true humility, they may still spare you." Council voted for the first time in history. All species agreed on one action. They would send a delegation to humanity, not to command, not to demand, but to kneel. The chosen envoys traveled across the void, their ships trembling as they entered. The dark sectors where humans had vanished long ago, cloaked satellites watched them. Silent escorts followed them. They were guided deeper and deeper into the black until at last, they reached it. A station larger than any city they had ever seen, built of black steel, glowing with lines of blue, light, and around it the Armada, waiting in silence. The envoys were brought into a grand hall, cold and vast. Human banners hung from the walls. A single figure waited at the center, a human commander, his eyes sharp, his face calm. Behind him screens showed the galaxy, every world, every fleet, all under human observation. The envoys bowed low, their voices shaking. "We come to ask for peace, we come to admit our mistakes, we come to beg forgiveness." The human commander did not speak at first. He let the silence stretch. The envoys trembled, their hearts pounding. Finally he spoke, his words slow and unyielding. "You mocked us, you silenced us, you forced us to walk away, and in silence we built, we prepared, we remembered now. You stand before us asking for mercy." The envoys nodded, some even wept. One insectoid delegate, once loud and mocking humans, now pressed his mandibles to the ground, begging. The human commander studied them for a long time. Then he spoke, again. "You will live, but not as before. Trade routes are ours now. Borders are ours now. Justice is ours now. The council is no longer your power. It is ours." The envoys dared not argue. They bowed again, their voices breaking. "Yes, we accept." And with that, the galaxy changed. The council returned in disgrace. Their people saw their weakness, but they also saw the truth. Humanity now ruled the stars, not with endless war, not with destruction, but with patience, silence, and shadow. Across the galaxy, a single truth spread, whispered in marketplaces, in taverns, in schools. Do not mistake silence for weakness, not from humanity. The council lived in regret. Every laugh, every insult, every word of mockery burned into history. Their arrogance had forged their chains. Their pride had given humanity the time to rise, and humanity, once silenced, now spoke with the voice of power. The galaxy trembled beneath their shadow, and silence, once mocked, became the sound of fear.